Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm the Blundering Bishop, and welcome to a 5-minute theory video. 5-minute theory, a series we do here on the Blundering Bishop, designed to give you a very potted overview of some of the most important theory in chess. It's designed for those of you who, like me, probably have a job, a family, a house, some bills, a car, and for whom chess is your third or fourth love and not your first. Gives you the very key points of a particularly important theory, tries to do it in around 5 minutes and give you some ideas for further study. So as ever here on the Blundering Bishop, if you're enjoying our content, please feel free to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're not enjoying the content, if it's not working for you, please do leave a helpful comment on how we can improve things. So for our first 5-minute theory, I think we're going to talk about one of the most important moves in chess today. It's not e4, although e4 is a very important move. It's c5, and we're going to be talking about the Sicilian. The Sicilian, far and away the most popular response to e4 for black. So 1e4, 2c5, that's 1e4, c5, that's the Sicilian. As I say, most popular response. Once c5 is played, you're in the Sicilian, there's no way out of it. And we're going to talk first about what black is trying to do here. I must admit, the first time I saw this move, untutored in the ways of openings, I thought it was a mouse slip by my opponent. I thought he'd blundered immediately, because at first sight this is something of an incongruous move. So e4 makes perfect sense, opens our bishop, opens our queen, we start to contest the centre, very sensible. c4 on the other hand, well, I've got a sad looking bishop, got a pretty sad looking queen with some not particularly exciting way out. I'm only influencing the centre from the flank. So what am I doing? What is black going for here? Well, black's going to say to white, you have your development, son, you get your pieces out, you get your centre control. I'm going to swap you that centre control for one of your centre pawns. You can have my flank pawn later, I'll have your centre pawn, and I'm coming out on top. Black's also delaying contact with white, so he's sort of taking some of white's first move advantage away by delaying that initial contact, and as I say, trying to swap that flank pawn for the centre pawn. Obviously extremely successful, one of the most successful openings for black, beloved by players at all levels, and from c5 it goes one of a couple of ways. By far the most popular response for white to c5 is to knight f3, and this leads us into a group of lines known as the open Sicilians, and you'll see why as we play through. So most common, knight f3 for white. A couple of options for black, but most common is d6, d4 for white, that's that thrust to the centre, and this is where we get that exchange. So white loses his d pawn in exchange for black's c pawn, and after a couple of moves you can see we've got a very open position, and it's exactly as I said earlier. White has got his development, he's got two knights out, he's got lines for his bishop to move down these open diagonals, he's one move away from castling. Black on the other hand has got one knight out, he's got a pawn advanced, he's still got a very sad looking bishop, although this one is looking a little better. White clearly ahead on his development, but black, his c pawn is gone, white his d pawn is gone. Now, we know all pawns are equal, but some pawns are more equal than others. So in the open Sicilian, we come to grips very quickly. The position opens up, and black hopes that later down in the late middle game, the loss of that centre pawn in exchange for a flank pawn is really going to hurt white. Now, from this position, there's a huge number of variations. I'd really encourage you to go and look at some of the fantastic content that's out there on YouTube. Stephan over at Hanging Pawns has got a great series of videos on the open Sicilian lines that come from here. I'd encourage you to look at those and take your study a bit further. But let's say that white doesn't want to open the position, so we go e4, c5, we're into the Sicilian. As we know, once we're in we can't get out. White plays knight c3 instead. That leads us to a set of lines known as the closed Sicilians, or some anti-Sicilians, depending on where you're getting your information from. So knight c3, that takes us in there. Big feature of the closed Sicilians, after a few moves, I'll just play these up for you, these kingside fianchettos. And as we play on, you'll see where the variation gets its name. So after a series of moves, we've ended up here. Let's just castle as well. So after castling, we've got a closed position. All the pawns set up in a phalanx on both sides, pieces develop behind them, very slow positional development. White's trying to build an attack here on the king side, and when it comes it will be very powerful, but it will be some time coming. Black's got an incredibly solid structure. I mean, real pressure from black on that e5 square here. Centre's very locked up by both colours, and this is going to be some time before this position is cracked open. So in the closed Sicilian we end up with a much less sharp, quieter game, much more positional, and really it's white that dictates that with the second move, knight f3, knight c3. White's got some other options there. It doesn't have to be knight c3 to get us into a more closed position. c3, for example, takes us into the Alpine variation of the Sicilian. So after exchanges in the centre, again you can see nice pawn structure for white, but a far quieter position again, less sharp than a lot of the open Sicilian lines. So that is our 5-minute theory potted overview of the Sicilian. Our recap for you: e4, most popular opening move in chess. c5, second most popular move in chess. Knight f3 takes us to the open Sicilian positions. Knight c3 or c3 perhaps to the closed Sicilian positions. As I say, huge amount of content out there on YouTube. Stephan at Hanging Pawn, but many others producing some fantastic videos on this. I'd really encourage you, if you found this interesting, to go and look at their work, because it tells you a lot more about this than I've managed to do in 5 minutes. I hope you enjoy our 5-minute theory videos here on the Blundering Bishop, and I'll just leave you with this thought, that without geometry life would be pointless. As ever, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to leave a like or hit that subscribe button. If you're not enjoying the content, please let us know, leave a helpful comment in the comments section below, and I will see you all next time. Thank you very much and goodbye.